So for this video, I wanted to talk about something that's like kind of important for everyone that's in school that watches my videos because everyone has to do these. And yeah, it's just basically talking about science classes, all the ones that I've taken and the ones that I'm currently doing right now. So yeah, just start off, I'm doing forensic science and I'm doing AP physics and zoology, but I'm mostly going to talk about forensic science and AP physics. In forensic science, I'll talk about first. It's not really supposed to be a hard class. I don't think it's a hard class, but it's kind of annoying sometimes because I talked about it a little bit in the last episode that I made. But basically, we have two presentations, and those are pretty much 60% of our grade. So if you do bad on one of them, it like really messes up your grade. So I got a 69 on one of them last time. So for like the entire quarter until like the very end, I had like an 87 in the class. So I was like super close to getting a B. But it's not hard. But like the annoying thing is it's just presentations and rubrics. So you have to be very like precise with what you put, which obviously you have to be precise because it's a science and it's like real forensics. You can't be like incorrect with the evidence you put if you're gonna actually convict someone. So I think it's like a good class because it's important that like we know all that stuff that's happening. But it's also just like super annoying because if you like if you mess up one thing in the very beginning of like, for example, your handwriting analysis or whatever, and you just get that completely wrong, that's like 25% of your grade just gone. If you just, especially if you don't like explain it right. Like if you explain it right but you get it wrong, you'll still get some points. But I know that like for my very first crime scene, for like one of the evidences was a Erlenmeyer flask that was broken on the ground, and we labeled it as beaker, so we lost all the points for that because it wasn't that important of a piece of evidence, but because it was not a beaker and we labeled it as a beaker, we just lost a bunch of points. And something else about the class, during the presentations, which I actually like this idea, so I'm not hating, I think it's really cool, but our teacher drops a marble every time we say a filler word like or just anything that's like not important, which I know I say a lot in these videos, which I probably need to work on. And I might do a video where I just say like, where I just like try and have a whole video where I don't say any filler words, which is going to be almost impossible. But yeah, I really like that idea. So during the presentation, I have to be like very precise with what I say. Like it's very precise with like what I have to do. But you don't even lose points off of it. So I do think it's pretty cool that you get to see like how good you do during your presentation and how well you can present your topic without, sounding fillerish, I guess. But usually I do well on the presentations. I usually get 0 marbles, which I got 1 on my first time. I got 0 on my second time, which is pretty good. We have like 3 days to do our presentation, but honestly, that's more than enough time because we have a whole hour and a half. So I'm not really like, it's not a bad class. It's like fun doing like the handwriting analysis. Like that's fun. The fingerprints, like that's fun. Going like around the school, just investigating people and like what they did, like all that stuff is fun. But sometimes it's just really annoying, like the night before, knowing you have to present and knowing that's like a big part of your grade. That's like the only hard part about it. But yeah, then for AP Physics, this is a whole other story because unlike forensic science, it's not like the tests or anything that's hard because there are tests in this class. It's just the material because it's a lot of math. It's like everything you do in physics is just math because unlike biology or chemistry that have math in it, physics there aren't gonna be any problems where it's just like what is the powerhouse of a cell and its mitochondria. Like there's nothing like that in physics. Same with chemistry. Like there's not going to be like what is the atomic number for hydrogen or whatever. Like there's no like active recall like that. You actually have to apply yourself on every problem, and it's so annoying. And you have to do math with it too. And sometimes you're not actually calculating stuff. It's just like deriving like an expression from variables. But even then, that's like, it's still like super hard. And I've seen like a bunch of memes like on Instagram and on YouTube where it's like, something's bad whenever the teacher only gives you 4 problems. And like some of the assignments they'll give us, we'll have 2 days to do it, but it'll be 4 problems. And sometimes I have to use like a whole page for one problem, just like writing like the math steps and like deriving like the final value for the problem. And that's really annoying. But it's honestly not that bad. I have to spend way more time than like I'd like to, but I mean it looks really good on like a high school transcript, so I don't like regret taking it, but it's kind of useless because I don't really plan on majoring in any physics or any like math heavy course. Well, I guess biology is kind of math heavy, but even then that's not really that's not like my main major, and I kind of do want to major in stats, but that's like I know that's math, but it's a different kind of math. It's not algebra, so it's not like physics is really going to help me in that. But yeah, also for physics, the labs that we have to do are super some of them are pretty easy because some of them are online. Also, by the way, this is like a fully online class. I don't have like an in-person teacher, so everything is online. So that's why like in third block, whenever I say I do nothing, it's not that I do nothing. It's just that like I never get work done because I never focus because there's no teacher that's like teaching the class. It's just like up to me to do my own work. But yeah, for like the labs, like we have to get the materials on our own. So I remember at the start of the year, like whenever they release like the materials list for other labs, like I like my mom had to go to Walmart and get stuff like while I was doing other things because we needed a spring scale, which I could have gotten at Walmart, but I just asked my chemistry teacher for it because we don't actually offer physics at our school, and she was happy to give me one because obviously like no, like we don't need physics, and like I told her like I'd give it back after I was done with it, and she was like, oh, don't worry about it, just like take your time, as long as I get it back, it doesn't really matter because we don't have physics. So I mean that was good at least. But for my most recent one, like I had to make a cart and tape a bunch of marbles to it, and tape a string and marbles like at the end of the string to like see like the force of the marbles like dragging the cart to see like the acceleration of the cart, which sounds complicated because it is, and it's very painstaking, and we have to write a whole lab report at the end of it. So even though like the actual process may seem easy, it's not like, and that's already like tedious and annoying enough, but the hardest part is doing the whole lab report and like the math and calculations and stuff. So those usually take like at minimum 2 to 3 hours, but if I can get it done like while staying focused, it shouldn't take too long. But yeah, that class is just really it's not a bad class, and honestly, I think I have it easier than most people because obviously I can do it on my own time. I don't have to worry about like waking up at 7 a.m. every day and just doing it first block. So I mean, I am grateful for that, and it's not. Once again, it's not a bad class, and it's gonna look really good if I get an A in it, which I probably will. But it's very painstaking and it's very like difficult. But I do think I'm learning like the material decently well. And for zoology, I'm not gonna spend that much time on it because this class isn't that hard. But we like every unit we have to do a presentation, and funny enough, so I did my part of the presentation. It's always a group project, but I gave my presentation to my friend, and he's been absent for the last 3 days. So everyone in our class presented it, but I wasn't able to because my partner wasn't even there. So, I just have like I don't have a zero because my teacher is like understanding, so that's nice, obviously. But yeah, he's just like he's not even there. But my teacher like she's really good. She majored in zoology, so she definitely knows what she's talking about. And like definitely like in the assignments, I think it's good that like we're learning like what we're learning because we are doing a lot of zoology, and we do have a lot of hands-on labs. Like I know in one of my reels I showed us like dissecting a chicken leg, which is something that you're not gonna do in like a standard biology class. So I think that was really nice. And then that's like everything I'm doing for this year, but also talk about chemistry last year because I know that's a class that a lot of people in my grade are taking right now, and it's classically known to be like a difficult class. And honestly, like looking back, it wasn't even that hard in my opinion. The hardest part was like I took it as a freshman, like my very first like quarter of high school. So like the first week of high school, like I was already stressed because of that. And on top of that, I was taking chemistry, which a lot of people told me, and like looking back, I probably should not just believe them for this, but a lot of people said like this is the hardest high school class like you'll ever take. Like you need to really pay attention. It's like the only class I got to be in. Like this class is like really hard. So I think that definitely got to me, and I definitely stressed out a bit too much. But on the first test, I got like an 88. So and for me that was good because I was telling myself if I get like an 85, that's good enough for me in this class. But after the first like month or so, like the first month I was very stressed. Like every time I walk in that class, I'd like get stressed because I thought it'd be like super hard. Even though looking back, the stuff that we learned was really easy. And like I really like the teacher now. Like even though back then, because I was a freshman, like I thought it was a very intimidating class with like the teacher and just everything. And I didn't know anyone either, so that was like really intimidating. But and especially after the first month, like everything just started getting a whole lot easier. And by the second half of it, even though the chemistry was actually harder, I like met people, and like I had friends in that class at that point, so I didn't have to worry about that part of it. And I just was able to learn the material like so much quicker. And after that, like it just like I did bad on a few tests. Like I got my fair share of 80s, and on a quiz I got a 15%. I got 3 out of 20 on one of the quizzes. So we don't really talk about that, but I mean it's fine. My grade was like a 94, so I'm not worried about it. But I mean, like it wasn't that hard. The biggest tip that like a lot of people have asked me is just pay attention to like the study guides that she gives out and do a bunch of practice problems like on your own because that's probably what's going to be the best. And if you don't understand a practice problem, don't just look it up and find the answer. Like look it up and actually like do the process and repeat it until like don't repeat it until you get it right once. Repeat it until you can do it like without having to like hesitate or look up anything. Because if you just do it until you get it once, you're just going to forget about it the next day. But if you do it until you can fully remember how to do it, then you'll understand everything. Because I know that the unit that they're on now, which is stoichiometry, which is pretty much it's with moles and molar masses, so it's not that hard. But I know that was like difficult for some people like at the very start because they had never taken a difficult class before, and it can feel intimidating whenever you learn about like the mole for the first time. But yeah, like it wasn't that bad. Oh, and speaking of the mole, every year for chemistry they do their annual mole day, which is on October 23rd. If you know, you know. I'm not gonna explain everything about the mole because that's boring for the purpose of this. But yeah, like every day they have the Mole Olympics, which is just like a game where you just do a bunch of chemistry stuff. It just has like a mental refresher because chemistry can be hard sometimes. And yeah, I was one of the people that helped like staff it, and I don't know, just like staffing the Mole Day event just brought back a lot of memories from high school chemistry because I remember when I took it, I didn't enjoy it that much, but looking back, like doing some of the stuff was like kind of fun. I mean, obviously there were some stressful parts, and there were times when I just did not like the class at all. But overall, I think it's a good class, and if you haven't done it, I think you should just do it and give it a try. I mean, it's not that bad. I think this is definitely like the most asked class about that, like for me, like because a bunch of people are like, should I do chemistry? Like, is chemistry worth it? And I always tell them like, yeah, like you should definitely do it. Don't worry about how hard someone else tells you it is. Like you'll definitely be able to do it. It's just not going to be that easy, especially if you're doing it as like your first hard class. But it's definitely worth taking, even if you don't plan on doing chemistry, because as our chemistry teacher always says, like science is everywhere. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a good class. I don't regret taking it whenever I did, but I do think if I would have taken it this year, I would have enjoyed it a lot more, and it would have been less stressful because I would have already known like the majority of the class. Because taking it as a freshman with a bunch of juniors and seniors and sophomores was kind of like, I don't want to say intimidating, but it was just stressful, just trying to get to know everyone and learning stuff from a hard class at the same time. But yeah, speaking of like not a hard class, but a harder class that I took my freshman year was AP Environmental Science, which sounds like a hard class, but it really isn't. The material of that class is pretty easy. It's not hard. It shouldn't be hard. But the workload of that class was really bad. Like I remember one time there was this one assignment on Switch Classroom. I think that's what it was. And it was just a collection of assignments. But that I think took me a whole 6 hours over the course of a weekend to do because I procrastinated. Like I think I had 2 weeks to do it and I did it the weekend it was due. But yeah, that was annoying. But I mean, we had like 3 assignments a week. The tests are kind of annoying because there'd be a free response and a multiple choice, but they weren't that bad, and I got like a 60 on some of them, but my grade was still, I mean, my grade was as low as it's been. It was a 91, but I still did that class pretty well, like stress free. Like my grade never dropped below a 90, so I never felt like I had to catch up. So I wasn't really that stressed about it. The biggest tip for that class for all the juniors that are watching this that are taking it next semester, I would say just don't fall behind. Just do the work and do the. Oh, also she gives you a digital notebook that's optional, but that's probably the best resource because it's aligned perfectly with the course and exam description. Because some of the assignments are just there not as filler, but just like they'll teach you about environmental science, but they won't teach you like what College Board will teach you. So if you just studied based on the CED, especially with environmental science, because it's mostly a facts and memorization based course, if you study with the CED, like you'll be just fine for the test and for the AP exam. Because the AP exam was so easy. Like it was one of the easiest things I'd ever done. And yeah, I mean, I don't really want to talk about that class that much because it was really bad. I was a freshman taking it with a bunch of juniors, so there wasn't that much I could really talk about. I mean, most juniors, like obviously I'm the only one that's ever had that problem. So if you're a junior taking it, like I wouldn't worry about it because I think it would have been a lot more fun if I would have done it my actual junior year. But that's just not how it went for me. And for last science class I'm going to talk about is just going to be biology. But the thing is, I never actually took this class because whenever I was in 8th grade, there's this thing called credit by demonstrated mastery where if you take the final exam or the end of course exam for biology and you do really well on it, you have to get a 95% on it for EOC. And I got that somehow. Like I somehow got in the 95th percentile after studying for it for like 2 weeks. They just give you the credit. But you have to like do a presentation, but the presentation is really easy. But yeah, like I did that in 8th grade because I just wanted to practice like studying for something, and I thought it'd be cool to just be ahead of everyone going into high school, which definitely backfired like a little bit. But honestly, like, now I don't really regret it. But yeah, I definitely do miss like the fact that I never took biology when like all my other friends did it. So I do want to do AP Bio next year if I can, but we probably well, I think that we will have it if people actually sign up because I know we have a lot of smart people that like kind of want to do it. So I do think that we'll have that next year. But yeah, I mean, this is just me yapping about a bunch of science classes. Hopefully you didn't get too bored by it. And yeah, I mean, if you need help with any science class, just hit me up. I've taken all of them. Well, I've taken all of them, or I'm currently taking one right now. So I'd be happy to help you. And yeah, I mean, I'd like to know what you guys hear about your science classes and your experiences. And if you have any other topics, just drop them in the comments. I'll definitely make a video on it as long as it's something that's good to talk about that I want to talk about. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. So sub and yeah, just drop down any other video suggestions because I'll definitely do them.